Zionism, which has brought about the existence of the State of Israel, is not a Jewish idea. The Jewish people were transformed through Zionism to come to the conclusion that we are going to have a state, an army, an air force, and we're going to have our own independence. To achieve this, which is based on the idea that the Jewish people are a nation like any other nation, a nation amongst the nations, or striving to be a nation among the nations, then in itself is a transformation of the real contents of the Jewish people to make it a secular, a worldly, a non-Jewish people, secular, a worldly, a non-Jewish people, similar
It's possible to have
to all the peoples in the world.
I'm sorry. It's possible to have a nation without a state? Were the Jewish people through 2,000 years of diaspora, the Jewish people, we could say, in many parts of the world, did they constitute a nation or a
Never.
people? Or a
Never.
people? Or in what way was there a commonality among the peoples, the Jewish people, throughout the long history of the diaspora?
People who have the holy contents inherited in them, which this holy contents makes them capable of performing the holy commandments of the Torah, of performing the holy commandments of the Torah.
Of the Torah. The Torah.
The Torah.
The Torah was that which held and brought you.
Not only the Torah in upkeep, but the preparation and the conditions of the inherited holiness of the Jewish people, which prepares them or conditions them to be able to perform indeed the deeds of the Torah. Important. Not only the Torah indeed, the deeds of the Torah to upkeep, but the inherited holiness in the Jewish people itself. Important. Not only the Torah indeed, the deeds of the Torah to upkeep, but the inherited holiness in the Jewish people itself.
The inherited holiness in the Jewish
people itself.
I see.
From the time of the covenant with our fathers, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, that makes them conditioned, prepared, and capable of performing the godly commandments of the Torah.
And if they are of the Jewish tradition, mother-born Jewish tradition, and they're in the Jewish tradition, but are increasingly secular and not observing or not reading Torah, not visiting shul, but are secular people, how do we regard that? This is the case with many people in the modern world.
As long as they are secular, as long as they disregard the commandments of the Torah,
or not
as long as they do not perform the Torah, or better still,
perform the Torah,
as long as then they don't believe in the holiness of the Torah, they are outcasts, they are renegades. As long as they are secular, as long as they disregard the commandments of the Torah,
or not
as long as they do not perform the Torah, or better still,
perform the Torah, yeah. Mm.
as long as they don't believe in the holiness of the Torah, they are outcasts, they are renegades. But because they have been born Jewish, from a Jewish mother and Jewish father, the birthright in itself gives them the possibility of return. In other words, when they return and they start being Jews, they are really Jews and not conversions. When they return and they start being Jews, they are really Jews and not conversions. Are really Jews and not conversions. But at the time when they disregard the Torah and they disregard the commandments, and more so, they disregard the holy beliefs in the godly contents of the Jewish people. As long as they are that, they are outcasts. They are outcasts. The legitimate differences in the interpretations of the Torah are quite apart of the interpretations which you now referred to.
Like a
The
academic
legitimate differences in interpretation is how to keep the Torah and how to embedded themselves in keeping the Torah. The interpretations which you've just mentioned, liberal, reform, secular, their interpretation are not to keep the Torah. Secular. Their interpretation are not to keep the Torah. They are outcasts. They are outcasts.
I've been in Yemen, in Morocco, in the Jewish communities. In all the communities, Jews have been living up to the creation of the State of Israel, till Zionism came about rather around 100 years ago. They have been living in peace without any human rights groups watching us. It is not a religious conflict. On the contrary, we have found a safe haven in the country.
Let's suppose that you get your wish, that Jews just leave Israel. Israel ceases...
That's not my wish.
Okay.
Yes.
Israel ceases to exist as a Jewish state.
Right.
It just ceases to exist.
Yes.
You really have trust that Muslims wouldn't butcher you in revenge for what's happened in the last 67 years?
What happened in South Africa? Didn't it change? The people were afraid that they would butcher all the white people.
South African blacks are not Muslims.
That you were wrong, because Muslims don't, respectfully wrong, Muslims do not have an ingrained hate for Jews. They are not the people that they are portrayed. We have been living in peace, as I say, without any human rights.
Have you seen how you're...
Secular, a worldly, a non-Jewish people, they are outcasts.